Just a very quick manoeuvre this morning. We're going to go round the corner, through the next bridge and tie up. There's a couple of reasons for this. Today is the second day that they are supposedly completing the repairs to Keadby Lock. So what we want to do is we want to go around the corner, be quite close to town to do a little bit of provisioning, and at the same time we can call up the lock keeper and ask him how those repairs are going.
Keadby Lock.
Phil, hi, it's Jamie on Happy Days. I just wondered how the lock repairs are going.
Right, we've got divers in at the moment.
Yeah.
They're checking all and working out measurements of what we need to do. Come tomorrow, the crane will be here, and hopefully they will lift in the sheet of steel and the frame and get it in place. Friday, they're going to do the opposite side that hasn't collapsed, just so that it doesn't collapse. And then, fingers crossed, we'll be open. Fingers crossed.
Woohoo! Oh, it's exciting stuff. Have you managed to get any good footage?
Yes, there'll be a video going on every night at 7 o'clock.
Excellent. Well, sorry, is that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the channel?
I'll put it, Lincolnshire Explored and Exposed.
The wind is going to be picking up today, so we want to do this manoeuvre now before we start getting blown all over the canal.
Well, it's early morning, haven't had my coffee, haven't had any breakfast. We're moving, not very far, we're just going up to the next bridge, go through that bridge and then we'll park up on the other side. Today we thought we might try and walk into the nearest town and it just brings us a little bit closer. Let's see how it goes. At the moment we're sunny, but there is wind and rain forecast, so we thought we'd do it right now to get it over and done with in the morning. Looking behind the boat, there's quite a few dark grey clouds lurking, indicating that it is going to be showery today. There's quite a bit of wind, although it's not that bad. There is a bit of wind, you can feel it. It might blow us about a bit, but later on there's going to be even more wind, so better to get this done now. Such a rural stop that was. There was, behind the verge, there's a stream that runs alongside the canal, and on the other side of that there are a couple of houses. It's very quiet. There were certainly some dogs in there. They weren't noisy, but now and again you could hear a bark, which Marley enjoyed. There's some ducks coming out there. In fact, as I look along here, we've got all kinds of waterfowl waking up as we come along. Running parallel to us is a train track, which has been doing that for the last few miles. Where we were just now, there was a group of trees and quite a bit of countryside in between, so we didn't really hear it. We were aware of the odd train going past. But now, from now on, we've got the track running right next to the canal, so it's going to be a different experience, I'm sure.
Dating back to the Domesday Book of 1086, the area around North Lincolnshire adjoining South Yorkshire is known as the Isle of Axholme. It got its name from the towns and villages which dot the flooding marshland, like floating islands. We walked a mile north of Godnow Swing Bridge to Crowle, a market town with its roots in Neolithic times. St Oswald's central church, built around 1100 during the Norman period, has been modified and partly rebuilt over the years. The town thrived in the 19th century with hemp, brewing and agriculture. Many historic buildings remain, marked with informative plaques by the Crowle and Eland Heritage Society. If you're passing along the Stainforth and Keadby canal, it's worth popping in to provision. Then follow it up with a coffee or even a beer at the Grade 2 listed 16th century White Hart pub, the oldest inn in the whole of the Isle of Axholme.
It's early in the morning, it's 5:30. The reason for this is because the Vazon railway bridge, which is notorious for having issues, causes problems when the temperature increases. So normally what happens is after 16 degrees Celsius, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, the bridge is inoperable because of expansion basically. So you have to get through before that temperature increases. Now, despite all the rain and the cooler weather we've been having this last week and that horrible wind, things are calming down and it's going to start getting warmer. And in fact, what's going to happen is today is possibly going to be the last day for at least the next week that we have sub 16 degree temperatures. After about 10 o'clock this morning, temperatures go above 16 degrees. And I think in the next few days, they're going to hit something like 25 degrees. And we'll miss our opportunity to get through the Vazon Bridge, which is the last bit before Keadby Lock. Now, as you know from the conversation we had with the locky yesterday, they're still working on the lock, but they hope to finish it in the next couple of days. If they finish it in the next couple of days, we are going to be looking at catching a neap tide to head upstream, heading south down the Trent.
Oh, it's not even 6 o'clock in the morning and we're up and we're ready to go. Marley's had his walk, done all his ablutions, done everything he needs to do, and he's had his breakfast and he's now sitting in his crate quite happily. We've got a lot of big cloud overhead and there's rain on its way. I suppose the good thing is that will keep the temperature down, which means by the time we get to the railway bridge it hopefully won't be too hot to go through. Okay, we're off, we're away. Got to plough through these swans and I think it's probably time for coffee. It's not that warm yet. Good for the bridge, bad for Liz. You going to come with us, swans? We've got about 2.5 miles to go, so we're making great time. We're going to be there nice and early. Hopefully they will let us through. I've got to open the pedestrian bridge, the first bridge, might be a road bridge, not quite sure, and then they open the train bridge from the signal box. We'll discover all that when we get there. In the meantime, it's just enjoying this last stretch of the Stainforth Keadby, which continues to be a bucolic, beautiful, wonderful thing to watch. Jamie saw a heron fly up, and I saw a kestrel flying over the field, well, hovering, doing a typical kestrel hover. There are lots of birds chirping away like mad.
Coming up is Crowle Bridge. This is the main road into Crowle. That's the little town we popped into yesterday. From a boaty point of view, it's probably better to be by Godnow Bridge, which is where we were. It's a little bit closer by foot. It looks like there's a boat parked up there. Don't know what he's doing. Still early. Joggers, fishermen. Well, one fisherman looked very tired. He yawned as I waved at him. Right, last corner before Vazon Bridge. So we've got the road bridge, which we operate, and then we've got the sliding railway bridge, the infamous sliding railway bridge. It's pretty industrial around here as we approach the Trent. We're probably still a couple of miles away from the lock though. This is on the helm, doing a sterling job. I'm going to take over and maybe give the locky a ring just to check that we're okay, but temperatures should be under 16 degrees at the moment. While Liz operates the road bridge, I thought it was worth explaining the whole setup for anyone else looking to come through. There are a couple of things that confuse me while planning our trip. Is the road bridge automatically opened by the railway bridge operator? Why does Google Maps have the road bridge labelled as Vazon's Bridge? Isn't Vazon Bridge the actual railway bridge? How do you know when to go through? When coming from the west, there is a small road swing bridge. Google Maps has this labelled as Vazon's Bridge. Note the S at the end. The sliding railway bridge is known as Vazon Bridge, although Google Maps just has this labelled as Keadby Sliding Railway Bridge. The boater opens the small road swing bridge, Vazon's Bridge themselves, and the signal person in the box opens the railway bridge. As you go through, if there is a gap in the railway schedule, the railway bridge operator will slide open the railway bridge for you. At least that's what happened with us. However, we did call the railway operator in advance to discuss our strategy. The first thing we checked was that the temperature was okay for them to operate the sliding bridge. We then asked if we should go straight through or wait in between the road bridge and the railway bridge for Liz to hop back on. They said it was up to us. Knowing that A, time was against us, and B, the space to tie up between the two bridges is tiny and would therefore have been more problematic, we agreed with the bridge operator that I would go straight through. This worked perfectly, as you can see from the footage. With this strategy there was no messing around. I didn't have to try and moor up, and the railway operator didn't have to hang around and hold up any trains. Basically, if there is any advice we can give, it is to either phone them up or tie up before the road bridge and go and chat to them in person first. That was a rather wet experience. Poor old Liz got caught in the rain. It's really quite drizzly, but very easy manoeuvre because we had the foresight to phone through to the actual operator of the bridge and just tell them what we were planning to do, which was Liz was going to hop off, operate the bridge, and I'd just come straight through rather than trying to pick her up in between the road bridge and the railway bridge. So by the time I'd got through the road bridge, the railway bridge was already opening, so it was just gun it straight through and out through the other side. Right, we're just going to tie up now somewhere on the right hand side, not far from the lock. Now, Liz was able to chat to the bridge operator of the railway track while she was operating the footbridge, and the bridge operator said to Liz we did absolutely the right thing to come when we did. She said that people turn up here and because of the problems with the bridge, you can't operate when it's over 16 degrees, people are stuck there for days, if not weeks. So if you've got a long, hot summer's week, the temperatures, even during the night, don't drop below 16 degrees and they can't open the bridge, so you're stuck there. So we did the right thing to grab this moment now to get here, and at least we can now just unwind, prepare the boat, most importantly, and perhaps almost as importantly, mentally prepare ourselves for the trip down the Trent. Well, there she is, folks. Over my left shoulder is the glorious Trent, the River Trent. At first glance, she looks fairly benign, but when you look closely and you see the movement of water, she's flowing at a fair rate, I'd say. I suspect it's probably high water. Now, we're Neeps at the moment. We're slap bang in the middle of Neeps. I've been chatting to Phil, who's the lock keeper at Keadby Lock. He's been keeping an eye on all the progress of the repairs that they're doing. We're about 2/3 of the way through now. Sounds like they're making good progress. So Phil did say that they're going to be testing it all tomorrow, but we probably won't leave until sometime next week. So we're going to have a few days here. So perhaps when the weather improves, I'll come up here, have a chat with Phil and get a better idea of all the repairs that they're actually doing. But in the meantime, I just thought I'd baptise myself by looking at the Trent for the first time. I've driven over it. I've never actually stopped by the banks and had a look. As I say, if I swing round now, you can see there's a branch just moving across there, been spun round by the currents there. We've been warned that when you come out of the lock, which is just to the left here, what tends to happen is the boat will it will tip over like this as it comes out, and then it should stabilise. And we head down to the bridge, which is down there.
I didn't realise there was a height depth problem of
Yeah.
torques thing. I didn't realise we had to.
Yeah, flood down there is about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, here we are at Keadby Lock. We've just been chatting to Mark, who's on this weekend, and despite the problems they've had with the lock, they are testing it once more tomorrow. He's actually booked us in for Monday morning. So we actually have a date in the calendar, which is very exciting. The weather's looking good. This is a little glimpse of the lock. So the problem they were having was that they were getting a leak coming into the bay here, and at certain tides that leak was so strong it was actually pinning boats to the side of the walls. So it did mean that they couldn't open the lock at certain tide positions, but hopefully when the engineers have one more look tomorrow, fingers crossed, possibly we could leave on Monday. Well, while it was good news on the lock situation with a schedule to go in on Monday, 2 days time, it's bad news in the engine, I'm afraid. I thought I should at least just give the engine a quick check, and the first thing I wanted to look at was the fan belts. I thought it would be pretty embarrassing if something happened with the fan belts if I had not checked them on the Trent. So I had a look. We've got 2 fan belts, 2 alternators, and the main fan belt, when I looked at it, is not looking good. Just where my thumb is, it's starting to wear away. The top bit there, the cloth bit that keeps its length, has broken. So this was stretching, I believe. So I went to put my spare fan belt on, and this is an original Vetus fan belt. Can I get it on? Absolutely not. This is tight as. So normally when you change fan belts, of course, you undo the pivot points on the alternator. The idea is that that alternator will then drop down like so, which releases the tension on the fan belt. However, on this particular engine, this will only drop down to this point here. This is the thermostat. So it won't drop any further than that. And I need it to drop more to get the fan belt on. Quick look at that. You can see, even if I pull it tight, it's barely reaching the outer bit of the pulley on the alternator. It's confusing.
I've just received this from CRT. It's one of their notifications. Do you want me to read it? Keadby Lock navigation restriction. Update. Following recent repair works to a decommissioned ground paddle chamber at Keadby Lock, we regret to advise that the outcome has not been as successful as we had originally hoped. Our engineers continue to investigate the issue and are actively assessing a range of potential solutions to restore normal operation as quickly and safely as possible. In the meantime, operational restrictions will remain in place while further assessments and works are carried out.